order. We'll begin with roll call since we have 3 people remote. Ken?
Ken Bresnan.
Donna Kramer.
Lori Abernathy.
Ben Metzger?
Carolyn Langenmelter.
Rob Keller.
Sue Wilson.
Great. Okay.
Go ahead with the good news.
Okay, good news for you. A few things in the packet there. I put some things that we had on Facebook as well. Lori Goes Wilder. Each student got an Indianola shirt, and we have sponsors to thank for that. That was in the good news. Included a couple of things that were done for Veterans Day, including a virtual program that was put together by a couple of our tag teachers and some gifted and talented students, as well as some letter writing that was done by one of our elementaries. Also included a list of middle school Pride Plus recipients, some pictures of little libraries that were put up outside Emerson Elementary and decorated by the art teacher there, Kaylee May, and then also shared a couple of life skills classroom activities that had taken place. So that's what I had for the good news this time around.
Do we have any board member reports?
I was to attend the delegate assembly, and I did the pre-assembly and everything else. And I chimed in that night to do it, and it wouldn't take the password they gave me or anything. Communicated with them, and they didn't get back to me, but everything's pretty much unanimous on that anyway, so I don't think we really missed anything there.
Any other board member reports? Sue?
Yep, this is Sue with the Wellness Committee. We meet again next Wednesday, and Ms. Ellis and I have a meeting early next week to go over some of the stuff we discussed about the last board meeting in the technology side that was brought, the app that we were looking at. So we also did that, and then I guess I'll wait for the middle school kind of staff there to talk about kind of the mental health crisis stuff from the passing of 7th grade student Maddie Snow.
Good, thank you, Sue. Anyone else? All right, moving on to, do we have anybody here to speak? Delegations, petitions, communications?
There's nobody here. I do want to mention, I got a couple of emails from people who wanted those emails read, and then I was reminded by the board that that's not a process we've done since we have opened back up for the public to speak. I can tell you they were both related to a belief that you would be acting tonight on requiring medical waivers. That's not on the agenda, and I haven't received that direction from the board. I did include that policy in the Return to Learn section because people had asked, where is that in policy? But at this point, there aren't plans to enact that I know of. And I want to apologize. I did indicate, I emailed those people back. It came in kind of late afternoon here as I was getting ready for the meeting, and just printed them and planned to read them. Then I remembered that that's not our normal process. So I would invite those people to come in and speak if they'd like to at a future meeting. I do know that board members have received those emails too, and you read all the outreach you get. So I know you've heard those concerns that were expressed. So just wanted to clarify that there's nobody here to speak, but that I did receive a couple of emails and that you've all seen those same ones.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda, and I'll just note that there is a revised consent agenda, the accounting generalist position added to that.
Just a question, the Honey Creek contract is
Yep.
a meeting for,
Yeah, I'll speak to that. That's admin retreat.
That's
Hopefully
fine.
we get to have it. Last summer we did not. That was a place we last went to in 2014, right when I was starting here. Worked very well, great meeting room. But should have put that out and given you some clarity on that. So that's what that is.
So that's what now, the administration?
Administrative team retreat. Yep.
I will move approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Ken, seconded by Donna. All those in favor? Say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries 7-0. On to the presentations. Sarah, since you're closest to the mic.
Go to the mic, yeah?
Yeah.
Hi, guys. I was here like a month and a half ago just to let you know that we were going to start doing a program review of special education. And we worked with the AEA to do that. And so that report came in on Thursday for me, so I just wanted to share a few of the results. And so what I did is the same sheet that I shared last time is in your packet, and so just the response to the questions. So the first one we did was we looked at achievement gaps between our special education students and our general education students. And when I think about achievement gaps, I kind of think of a graph that goes like this, and we want our special ed kids to kind of get closer to our general education students. And the response to that is that there continues to be a gap. In reading, it's about a 33 to 53 percentage point gap when we look at Iowa assessment results. When we looked at the data, we didn't have enough of the ISAP test, so we went back and looked at Iowa assessments. And then the gap in math is 28 to 48% depending on grade. We do see a slight decrease in that gap in reading, but then it shows back up for middle school and high school. The other thing we looked at was identification rates. That seemed to be 2 points in the original report, or not the report, but the program description that we have for the district says that we want to actively identify special education students. And sometimes I think when we get active about identifying, we might get too many students. And so looking at that question, they found that although our rates of identification have increased, they've kind of stayed level with the state of Iowa. In fact, in general, as a state, they are identifying more students than we are in Indianola. And the last question was adequate yearly progress. The majority of the Iowa, our special education students are making growth. So if we look at adequate yearly progress, we want to make a year's growth every year. Well, if you're in special education, you're more than a year behind your peers, so you need to make more than a year's progress. And so, we were making some gains up there, but they were considered modest. And so those were kind of the three questions from there. And the next steps then would be to look at kind of some things we want to do to respond to that, and then to develop another program review because it's been 5 years since we've done that. That's all I had.
I have a question. And thank you for the material. I think I might have missed the meeting. Talks about caseload per teacher, I believe. And some of we got. How are we doing on that? Are we really behind, or?
That's a very timely question. We just had count for special education, and so we are up a little bit with students. That doesn't necessarily determine or change caseload right away, because 15 students across the whole district, that's about what we were up, or maybe 14, excuse me. But that's one of the things that we might dig into next, as far as making sure that teachers have a caseload that they can manage and then respond appropriately so students can make good progress.
And did the ramifications to your programs, or our programs, wherever they are, of the Department of Education's change of policy on what was it, restraint last week?
Senate File 2360, is that maybe what you're talking about?
I don't remember numbers, but
That we've been addressing that all fall. We've been trying to address that. One of the things that's impacted our IEP students specifically is that if they have a room clear as part of their plan and their IEP, we need to take that out. That doesn't mean that we can't have a room clear for those students if we need to get kids out of there quickly. It just kind of makes sure that we notify everybody that it involves in a timely manner. And so we've done that piece already. It had several pieces to it, but we are addressing them.
okay, thank you.
Hey, Sarah.
Yep.
Hey, this is Rob Keller here. Sorry, I'm just trying to follow you a little bit. It's just a little difficult to hear you, but one of the bullet points there, it says on average, Indianola Community School District was 3 to 4 percentage points lower than the statewide rate. What is that pertaining to? Is that pertaining to the percentage points in reading and math, or?
That's how many percent of our general population of students that we identify for special education.
Oh, so we have 3 to 4% less special education students than other school districts around the state of Iowa.
Yeah, than average in the state of Iowa right now.
Okay,
Yep,
and
that's
then back up towards the top where the average gap, 33 to 53%, and then 28 to 48% in math. Are these gaps, this is measuring all 3 categories of special education there, the 3 different learning categories. I'm not sure exactly what the correct term is there for those 3 levels there.
I think what you're asking, like, this looked at all special education students regardless of what their goal or level was. I
Yeah.
think this is what you're asking. So it could be that this is a level 3 student for
Yeah.
behavior and they don't even have a reading goal, but that would still be accounted for in here.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
So the students that maybe have, that are at a higher level there, would those gaps be less then?
Absolutely. Like, it could be if it's a level 1 student, they might not have as big of a gap. This wasn't broken down, so I couldn't necessarily say that like overall. The other piece that's not included is our students that would be an alternate assessment. So those would be our kids with very significant needs. They would not be counted in here.
Okay. And then how do those 2 figures, how do those correlate to the rest of the state then?
That wasn't a question I asked, so I don't have that information. But I think it would be something to look into for sure.
Okay.
They
Okay,
just-
thank you.
Yeah, they just responded to the questions that were in that program description. And so we kind of wanted to look at, these are the things that we said we were going to do, and have we done them?
Any other questions? Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is the middle school staff, process of student in crisis. He was bailing.
My kids always said, all you have to do is look. Hi, I'm Christy Ellis. I'm the Indianola Middle School principal. And we're kind of here to talk to you about Tina Chaplin, and she's one of our counselors. We're here to talk to you about what do we do when students are in crisis. So to kind of let you know, when we indicated, when we get a concern for a student, when it arises, it could come from either the student themselves, the peer, a parent, guardian, or family member, a teacher, staff member, administrator, school nurse, outside agency, community, or somebody else. And then, once we get alerted of what the student crisis is, we go to our professional counselor here, school counselor. So when, like we had one, for example, today, we had, the administrator was alerted, and then we call in the counselors and get them involved. And then they follow a certain plan of action to make sure that they're following. We have certain steps that we do follow, and I'm going to have Tina kind of talk about what those steps are once they go to her.
Thank you. Again, my name is Tina Chaplin. I am the 7th grade counselor at the middle school. In 2016, the counseling department, along with Stacy Warren, who is the social worker with AEA, developed a district-wide crisis response protocol. The goal of this response was to ensure a consistent, ethical, and evidence-based quality of care to the increasing needs of our students. We, as a multidisciplinary team, comprised of the middle school counselors, school-based therapists, social worker, and the school psychologist, we collaborate at a minimum of at least once a month to address the mental health needs of our district. So, I was asked to speak specifically today about what we do if we have a student that is suicidal. So, when it is referred to the counselors, we use the Columbia Suicide Questionnaire. It is 6 questions. Every counselor in the district uses the same questions. We use them word for word, so we don't stray from the language. Anytime we ask those 6 questions, we always notify a parent. So I can ask those 6 questions and the kid can say, no, I don't ever wish I was dead. No, I've never had suicidal thoughts. No, I have no plan. We will still contact the parent and share with them that we have asked those questions and explain why we would have done that in the first place. If at any point in asking those questions we have a concern for the child's safety, we would then follow this protocol for active suicidal ideation. The first thing we would do is notify the parent. Secondly, we would never leave that child alone. So from that point on, that child is with an adult until a parent or guardian comes to the school to pick up the child. We would discuss referrals for emergency evaluation. If it's not an immediate crisis, that might be a referral to the family physician. More not than often, it is a referral to mental health evaluation. At this point, most of those are being done at the Unity Point Mental Health Clinic in Des Moines that just opened up a few months ago. We would also discuss counseling services, offer mental health therapy at the school. We would also give parents a list of resources, which would, of course would include the school-based therapy services in Indianola and in the surrounding areas. When the parent comes in to pick up the child then, we will give them releases of information so we can exchange information with ourselves, AEA, and whatever therapeutic service they decide to go through. And then if the parents want a copy of that questionnaire to provide to the medical facility where they're taking their child, we would give them a copy of that as well. Then depending on what happens at that point, we will always do follow-up communication with the parent to find out if an evaluation was done, if the child was assessed, what the recommendations were by the medical facility, and then what we can do on our end to continue to support that family. Yes.
So are we getting any of those in the technology meeting? They said that, like, if somebody researches a question about suicide, or have we had any of those pop up to, I think it's Michael Mayer that, Carol,
Right.
that's where it was tagged to go, was to Michael Mayer, I think, if I recall what Ray was telling us.
Yep.
But have we had some of those that we've addressed, or?
We have.
No, we have.
Yes, we have.
Quite a
So
few, or?
No, I've had 2.
Just
So
2?
I had one a couple of weeks ago. I had a student that was researching how many Advil do you have to take to overdose. So immediately called the kid in, asked him, hey, what were you doing? And he said, well, I had a friend who took 2 this morning, said he still had a headache, and he wanted to go to the nurse
So
and
it
get
was-
another one. So again, that situation I did not feel was a crisis, but I still made the phone call to the parent just to let them know, hey, this came up, I pulled your son in, I talked to him about it, this is what happened.
So is Mike seeing that, or Mr. O'Meara, sorry, seeing that? I mean, is it something that he watches for? Does it pop up like it's a red flag comes up on his email, or is it
If it's through GoGuardian, he's going to get an email alert to that.
right away?
Now, we're also looking at another component of that, which is called Beacon.
Right?
And that is not in full mode yet. We just met with Ray last week about that, so I don't know a lot about it, but I do know it's more specific to like suicidal ideation and planning, if kids are looking for help or support because they're having suicidal thoughts, that kind of thing.
He kind of went over that a little
Yep.
bit. So we're going to implement that too then?
There's 3 different options with that. There's the free option.
Different level, yeah,
Yep,
there's-
Yep, and so I don't know if the district has decided. It kind of sounded like we were going with the middle one, and if we went with that one, we would get the top one for free until the end of December.
So much, right?
Yeah, but I think
Lori?
there's some things that.
Yeah, Sue?
This is Sue. Hey, that's what I'm meeting with some people next week.
Oh,
To
okay,
really look at the nitty gritty of all of that.
okay,
Yeah, before the wellness meeting.
okay, good.
So, yeah, it's
Thank-
on the docket and it's in conversation.
All right, thank you.
And if I may,
Yes.
in this process that you use and with your experience, are there any gaps or holes that we need to allocate anything for to fill, you know? Does that make sense?
I mean, we have a school-based therapist in the middle school now, and she's full. So at this point, we will have a waiting list, and so we'll need to start referring out to agencies within the community. I can tell you the school-based therapy is one of the best things that we've done for mental health since I've been in this district, which has been quite a while. It is a great service for these kids. It's convenient for the parents. It's definitely putting less stress on the parents under this extraordinary circumstances. So the need is there. I don't know what the next step is as far as getting those kids additional supports in the school. We talk to the kids a lot about bringing it to an adult's attention if they have a friend who is making those kind of comments. And that's something that I think we can continue to promote. You know, if you see it on social media, if somebody says it in the lunchroom, we say in the counseling department, a risk is a risk is a risk. So we never take it lightly. We never brush it off. Anytime they make any kind of comment that is concerning, we take that as an actual risk.
I don't think it seeks it. Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Just so you guys know too, I've reached out to the different organizations that we have contracts with, and in our December meeting, as a board, I'll present all the referral numbers. So how many referrals are being given, and if the therapists have room for more people, or if they're waitlisted. So December, we'll have the full referral list from September, October, November to go over as well, as far as mental health needs.
I was going to mention the Mentors in Violence Prevention program too, that the middle school and high school is using this year. It's not a focus on mental health, but that idea of kind of empowering kids to speak up and look out for each other is a big component of that, and we're pretty excited about the potential with that too, so that may help.
And to kind of go with a couple other things that we are doing is, with that grant, we got the Police Pass of Love. They had their first virtual presentation today, and that was kind of going over kind of like the mental health right now and self-care right now going into the break. And they'll have another presentation tomorrow by Police Pass of Love. And then also every Friday we have dedicated every Friday morning to advisory time, where we're trying to fully implement the second step program. And it's done a lot of improvements throughout for this year. So hopefully we're doing a lot of things there to try to address mental health. But when you get that, then you start seeing numbers start rising, because they start, telling on their friends or things like that. So
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, Ben, I just had a question there for who's ever speaking there. So they referenced the administrator that's contacted when somebody's facing this like a crisis thing. Is this person only? Is he the only person that's contacted this administrator? Is that the only person that's contacted? And also a follow-up question to that. If something is that at all times of the day, including non-school days, or what's happening there during those time periods?
well, I will tell you, as an administrator, we get contacted anytime. I've been at a basketball game here at 6 o'clock at night and got contacted, and then came down and have taken care of it. Now, if you're talking alerts, that on Go Guardian, that is kind of more Mr. O'Mara than I. But, we have family members call us, any time of the day. So when it comes to getting calls about it, we'll get Facebook messages that are sent to us, emailed to us, saying, hey, we see this on Facebook right now. That's probably a more common one in the night right now, is if something is going on, they send us Facebook messages or Snapchats or Instagrams and those things to us, and then we have to...
I'm just concerned if one person is just getting contacted through the notification system, that's a lot of weight on one person's shoulders.
That's, Rob, that Art Sanoff here, that's the current default with Go Guardian, and as we kind of talked at a previous meeting and at a tech committee meeting, we do plan to move up a level with Go Guardian, and one of the responses of that, or one of the parts of that, is the ability to escalate, if you don't get a hold of somebody right away, or to add additional contacts, I believe. So that's something that will be delved into. But as Christy said, that's one very specific type of alert, just on what they're searching or researching. There are a lot of people, involved, and it's all hands on deck if there's a kid in crisis that we find out through whatever means. But that particular one, there are other options for notifications with those other levels of Go Guardian that we're looking at right now.
You know, or with that,
Thanks,
is there,
thanks, guys.
is there an option for anonymous reporting too? Like say a kid hears something and they don't want to feel like they're going in the office and tattling, but a way for them to anonymously get that too?
Yeah, we have posted in every building near the entrances an anonymous tip line, which is, it's geared towards safety, but, you know, certainly that would be an avenue, you know, if they had fear for another student's safety. I don't know within Go Guardian if there's an anonymous option or not. I don't know enough about that.
The counselors at the middle school all have a box outside their office with like note cards and pencils, and kids can write anything on a note and put it into our mailbox. They don't have to sign it.
So if you get a call like at the ball game at 6 o'clock, and what if you were out of town? I mean, do you guys have who takes care of that if the child is in crisis? Who do you refer to? Is it the
Well,
counselor, the therapist, or if it's not during the school day?
It'll be, a lot of times Mike and I get together, and then we'll call the counselor, whoever the counselor is at that point. At that point, too, we call parents, as well as if we're feeling like there's an immediate danger, we'll call the police and make sure there's a wellness check taken care of right then and there. So,
Yeah, and just another example too, I had a couple of years ago a situation where I was trying to track down a student because of a Facebook thing I heard about. Went and did a home visit at 9 o'clock at night, did get a hold of the mother, who then called her daughter, you know, so we had an exchange, and the daughter, you know, didn't really turn, it was more of a drama type thing than a serious self-harm thing, and the mother told her, get that off Facebook. And that was kind of the end of it. But as Christy said, especially now that we have a school resource officer, we would be calling Officer Hackett to do a wellness check if we couldn't get a hold of someone, or if we thought there was an imminent threat.
Okay, that's good. I just wondered what the protocol was.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you. Okay.
Any other questions? Rob, did you have another question?
No, that was it. Donna was able to kind of follow up with where I was going with that. Thanks, guys.
thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to the discussion and action items, we'll do G1A, the return to learn information.
Yep, just information tonight. I've already referred to it, so you'll see in your packet, code number 501.9E1. This came up as a normal policy update from IASB because schools are required to have remote programs this year. We put this into policy at that time. We have not enacted it, but I referred to it last meeting, and the board wanted to see it. So this is that policy that sparked the concern. It's in policy, but we're not requiring it. We're not requiring this medical waiver right now. As I said, to this point, I haven't had the board tell me that we want to start doing that. So that's in there. I also gave you a little update as we're trying to, again, figure out ways to support our teachers better as they deal with both on-site and remote students right now. We have had remote advocate and remote teacher positions posted. We actually have had 2 of the remote advocate positions begin this week, and I think there are several more, up to 4 more in the pipeline that will get going in December. The plan is to have 3 of those at the middle school, 3 of those at the high school. And then the remote teacher applications, we don't have any for the special education posting at this point. We do have them for the other grade level spans that we talked about. The elementary applicants are being screened right now, I believe. Early December 1st, we're planning on having, or is that when it closes, or that's when we plan to have interviews?
Well, we're doing interviews on the 1st.
Interviews on December 1st. We're talking about training for those people. So that continues to move forward. I included for you remote learning numbers as of this Wednesday there. And I did also tell you how many of those are quarantines, and then kind of explain that we don't routinely report on quarantines for a couple of reasons. One, we've been advised not to, just from a medical privacy standpoint. And the second thing is that is very much a moving target, And a majority of those quarantines come from out-of-school contacts. A parent will come home, test positive from work, a student will need to quarantine for 2 weeks, that kind of thing. So it is an ever-changing number. But you can see kind of the percentage of the remote learners that are actually quarantined right now. At some point, if we went back full-time on-site, we would have to treat quarantine students differently. Right now, we treat them like remote learners, and we just put them in with that mix. But as remote learner numbers increase, or as we hire people who are dedicated just to do the remote learning, we would probably need to treat quarantine students like they're just absent from class, have them stay in sync with their class, access assignments through class pages versus jumping into the remote learning. So at some point, there probably a shift will have to happen there, but right now they're included with our remote learning numbers. Those numbers have gone up recently. We have had an increase.
In the true remote learners.
Yes, I would say both ways. In both quarantine and the true remote learners, we have been having more, and I think that's a symptom of the increased activity of the virus and just some people being concerned with it. I have had teachers say too, they may welcome the change with not having the remote learners move in and out of, or not having the quarantine kids move in and out of those remote populations. It is kind of tough to track them and keep up with them. I had a concern expressed too by a principal today saying not only have the remote numbers gone up, but of those students going remote, more of them seem to be not engaging very well. So remote and disengaged, which I've reported on before. I think there's kind of added work and stress with those kids that their status changes. And there's also a concern too. I know we've talked about classroom coverage, which can be challenging. And over time, that kind of takes a toll on staff as well as they give up planning time for planning or grading if they're covering for their colleagues. That gets difficult over time too. So I want to make sure I put that out there. I know the board has heard that, but just put that out there as one of those factors we're trying to deal with this time.
Are we struggling with subs right now, or are we still?
Subs are always a problem. I mean, I don't know any district that ever has a surplus of subs. I would say it's hit and miss whether or not we'll get whether we'll get a sub position filled or not. We are getting long-term subs signed up for our long-term known ones, but on a daily basis, we may or may not get a position filled. And we're pulling our instructional coaches, we're pulling reading support teachers, principals are jumping in classrooms. So it's a concern.
I think a lot of districts are doing that.
Yep.
They're having to.
Yeah.
Ben,
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
just a couple questions for Art there. Art, you mentioned that we've hired 2 remote advocates. What level are they? Are they elementary, middle school, or high school?
The remote advocates, the 2 that we have going right now are middle school. And then we have some others lined up for middle school and high school, probably December 8th or so. I know.
Okay.
Did we advertise for remote advocates at the elementary as well, Mimi? I can't remember.
We didn't at this point.
Okay.
Well, we just advertised remote advocates. We didn't specify the
Okay.
level. And then,
Gotcha.
as we looked through them, I had more support from the middle school and high school to get them engaged and focused on the virtual teachers for the elementary.
Yep. Are you hearing that, Rob? So.
No, it's okay.
I'll just reiterate that the focus for the elementary has been the remote instructors, and it has been more of a secondary focus with remote advocates. We were hearing a lot with the higher numbers of students, this week, 213 high school students remote, 146 middle school, and then also looking at a percentage of those remote learners who are not very well engaged. It was more of a secondary focus to get some more people in to make contacts with those remote learners, try to get them back in the fold and more engaged.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Good. And then another follow-up question there. So, looking at each school, then I know we've spoken maybe at times that if we did have to go online, maybe we would have to do it at an individual school level instead of maybe the whole district and stuff. So can you just give a summary of like where you feel each of the 4 elementary schools are, and middle school and high school, like each of those administrators, do they feel confident right now going into Thanksgiving here, and then between Thanksgiving and Christmas, of course, things could totally change, but do they feel confident right now at where their levels are? How stressed are they as far as with having teachers and staff in place and able to do what they need to do each day?
Yeah, and I don't want to put words in any administrator's mouth, but I do meet weekly with each building administrator. Now, this being Monday, today I met with 2 different elementary principals, and it was a tale of 2 cities, to throw in a literary allusion there. Laura Ingalls Wilder has done very well in terms of staffing, particularly with the certified staff. They just have been fortunate, have not been hit by a lot of illness, and are not under the staffing pressure that Emerson Elementary, for example, has felt the past couple of weeks. Although Emerson had 2 classroom teachers return today, which helps tremendously. So, those the other 2 elementaries, Whittier and Irving, there's been some pressure. I mean, anytime you have a teacher out for whatever reason, COVID or otherwise, and you're not getting all those sub positions filled as we were just talking about, then there's an added burden to try to help cover for each other. To this point, Emerson has been the biggest, kind of most sustained concern, because I know there was a point at which a number of support staff had to be sent home in one day as well. But so far we're meeting needs. I do know middle school staff has also expressed that concern that I articulated a little bit ago of kind of that cumulative effect as you're being asked to help cover and you don't have your planning time over time. That takes a toll. But I think as we head into break, everybody's ready for a break. There definitely has been some stress that weighs on people. I think one of the biggest things, which is a hope, we hope that people are responsible over break and that we don't see a big spike. We hope that if people travel, that they will consider face masks. Some of the airlines require it if they're flying, I guess. We hope that people aren't in a lot of large groups without face coverings. So if we don't get a big post-holiday spike, we may continue to be okay. If we do, exactly what you said is the truth, Rob. I think as a district, and what my approach would be that if we have to send a building remote or a as we've already done, a grade level or a classroom, we would approach it that way versus just sending everybody remote. Although we continue to plan, this meeting is a great example. Okay, currently we're still in our hybrid model. We're trying to do the best job we can with it, but we've also talked about planning for a return to full-time on-site, and now we're talking about if we have to go full remote. We have to try to plan for any eventuality and do as good a job as we can with it, and people are being super flexible and working very hard, which I appreciate, and people in the community are definitely being understanding and supportive too. So, but as of right now, we're in this hybrid model, trying to do as well as we can with it, trying to plan toward getting everybody back face-to-face full-time if that's doable, and then understanding that if something happens with the virus outside of our control or with staffing, we may have to go full remote. I think the only way we as a district would move toward that would be if there was some kind of state-level action requiring it, or if there was something that happened with the virus and our staff where we just couldn't do it.
Thank you, Art.
Kind of a long answer, but that's kind of a complicated question.
Yeah.
I might go here more than anyplace else. I've gotten, and we've all gotten, I got a nice document from 6th grade teachers and a nice document from 8th grade teachers about their opinions on certain things in this area. What I don't have is, before I can do anything, I kind of need to know what the principal and superintendent think about what they said. You know, it's not, they don't communicate directly with us, it's through
Right.
you. They're more than welcome to send us stuff directly.
Yep.
But I don't want to do anything until we hear what the administration says about it, so I just thought I'd pass
Yeah,
that.
absolutely, and we
You mean
kind
go
of
full-time?
clarified that,
Go back full-time.
No, the 6th grade teachers had
Yeah,
thoughts on
they sent
different
us,
things, and the 8th
yeah,
grade
6th
teachers.
and 8th grade.
Right,
and we,
Yes, cut
you
that
know,
area.
Yeah, but I mean-
Sorry, Lori, yes.
yeah, I was just,
yeah, the principal and I had a meeting with staff last week, a nice long meeting, and part of what we talked about was decision-making protocols, and I do know that the middle school is going to convene another group, and have invited them to, to kind of do a minutes approach, which, again, I would put in front of the board. But, yeah, when we talk about changes, that'll be something that will come up through the regular process, building level, making recommendations to me coming to the board. So, I think it's just a matter of a lot of people feeling a lot of stress right now.
Oh, yeah.
And just wanting to know that people understand, how hard we're working, that we're trying to meet needs and just kind of make sure they're heard. So, all the normal procedures are in place with that. And I think, we've communicated that back to staff. So.
Any other questions? All right, move on to G1B, the 2020-2021 concurrent classes, and this will require a motion.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to speak to that, Mrs. Duran, what this list signifies or why we need action, or?
this one we covered in,
Well, no, this isn't for this piece, but Jonna was explaining that because this has to do with budgetary weighting, and the high school submits each time their list of concurrent classes. This is for the fall, and this is for this fall's enrollment. And so Jonna has run this from the SRI, SUI.
SRI, it is SRI through the,
SRI, I got that with you.
yeah, certified
For the
enrollment.
calculated FTE.
So you see at the bottom of that list, it shows the total additional funding we receive for these classes. So at the bottom, it's like 14 something or something.
Do we
it's
need
an
to add-
additional 14 students it adds up to. But if you look at it, how small each position actually is, each class it actually is. So it adds up when we have 461 kids taking things.
And this basically, this is supplemental weighting that we get, because there are costs associated with college credit for the district too. And it's, we partner with DMAC, One Area Community College. A lot of those courses take place at the Career Academy at Southridge. We do also have teachers that teach concurrent enrollment courses within the high school. But there is supplemental weighting to offset the cost of those college courses, which Iowa is one of the leaders in the nation in concurrent enrollment, where families can get free college credit while kids are in high school. But this is kind of the trade-off, I guess. We get additional supplemental weighting on our account, and then that offsets the cost to the community college.
And if you look at those classes, the DMAC, if it's DMAC first in the way that they've identified it, that means that they go on site to DMAC. And the other ones, if it says DMAC second, that means that they're here. So like the last one is a principal for crop production. That's taught by one of our teachers, but is allowed DMAC credit.
So those are lower enrollment numbers, those are done off-site. Is that what you guys are saying?
The ones that have DMAC as the first descriptor, like DMAC arc welding, DMAC health OC,
Yes.
those are off-site, correct. They are at Southridge.
Okay.
I will move approval of the 2020-21 available class listing.
second it.
Motion made by Ken, seconded by Lori. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
You're great, you're great.
All right, on to the next, Teacher Quality Committee members. This will require action as well.
Yep, this is a group that was approved previously by the board, but we've had a couple changes. Teachers move on and off, administrators move on and off, so this is the current group. We just meet quarterly, but it's a board-appointed group. And then, I see too, we've got a typo in the Teacher Quality Committee report. I apologize for that misspelling. But then I share those minutes with you too as that group meets.
There's two different actions, right?
Yeah, so actually, the minutes you don't need to act on. I just need you to prove that this is the group that's getting together, appoint that group.
Make a motion to approve the names listed for the Teacher Quality Committee. That would,
Yep, thank you.
Second.
I don't do those very often.
Motion made by Lori, seconded by Ken. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes 7-0. On to G1D, the Teacher Quality Committee meeting report.
Yep, just there for your information, and this actually was, this was an extra meeting, not one of our quarterly ones. This is a little bit outside the purview of teacher quality. That committee exists to look at things like teacher evaluation process and also to review how we're expending teacher quality dollars. But this was a topic of some interest to some of the committee members. Mr. Timmerman and Ms. Dar had a follow-up conversation. This is, I think, going to just emerge as something if teachers are interested in doing a study group, book study on this topic of equity. That's probably where it will go. But we just had a conversation about that, so I provided the minutes for you.
On to item G2A, the Board Curriculum Committee report.
Did you say, I can hardly hear you guys, I'm sorry. Did you say curriculum?
Yeah, go
Yes,
ahead,
ma'am.
Sue. I know we talked about math scores.
Yeah, well, the first thing we talked about is what does the continuing improvement look like for the industrial tech courses? Basically, our awesome industrial tech teacher is looking at just, he needs approval to get a new textbook for some of his students. So I think that is an action item just to, it's a new fundamentals in drafting. So I know we talked about that and just the process of where the industrial tech courses are going and how they're advancing and how we continue to be really lucky with a teacher that is ready to just jump in with everything. So I think that's the first thing. So that's the board action. And then I will I'm going to jump down quick so we can come back and look at the K-Math fall screen. But then we also talked a little bit about snow days and what does that look like right now and what does that look like for when we have all of our tablets and devices ready for the whole school to be able to go online during a snow day. So right now, if we were to have a snow day and we don't have devices for K-5, it would, our teachers would have a full instructional day, like a work day, with building meetings from like 9 to 9:30 and then collaboration groups. And then I think Mr. Ron put on there like their schedule, what it would be. But it's a pretty full day for the teachers, so they would log that as a work day currently right now with collaboration and some other group meetings and then building meetings and that would be their day. And right now, it would not be a full educational day for the kids because they don't have those devices. So I believe that is kindergarten all the way through 12th if we have a snow day before devices come. And then just talked about their plan when a snow day hits, and we all have devices ready to go, what that looks like as an instructional day, and being able to go that way. So that's just information that they're looking into, with no action on that one. And then Reddy Dara did a really nice presentation just on gifted and talented, and a request for like an AP seminar. So we have 2 action items. So I don't know if we want to talk about first the results of the K through 8 math and have, I don't know, did you guys all get copies of that there?
It's on the computer, Sue.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
I don't know
ask,
if you just want to start having a conversation on that, and then we can make an action item on, or there's no action item on that, that's just,
We just have the 2 action items.
Right.
if somebody could just,
yeah, so that's kind of, it was a whole meeting.
Well, I'll move to purchase the parametric modeling with Autodesk Inventor.
I second it.
Okay.
Oh,
Right.
sorry.
Motion made by Rob, seconded by Lori. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. The second one would be the drafting curriculum, I believe.
We're adding a book, right? I mean,
Next one's the AP seminar for Brady. Is that the next one, right? Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll move that we approve that, the AP seminar
second.
class for Brady.
okay, I've got some questions on this one.
On this
Yeah, I have
one,
questions on that too.
Yeah, what I can't figure out, and, it sounds wonderful, critical thinking skills and, the whole bit. It's almost like every student should be in it. But one of the things I can't figure out is why this pertains to about any class. It's critical thinking, any AP class, it'll help them. It says in here that from a reputable source that people that take this class do better on their AP courses, from a reputable source, which sounds wonderful. But why is it just in the English department? And I say that, they said that the credit would be an English credit. Why couldn't it be a foreign language credit, or why couldn't it be a biology credit if they have AP classes? Wouldn't it? I'm just confused. Why is it English versus anything else?
makes sense.
So Brittany and I had talked about that for the application, because her background and degree is within language arts. We still have that question about for the teacher of record, because she would be the teacher of this course, and with her certifications, to start off with that within that level of making it English language arts. Because she currently is not certified in all of the other areas.
So nobody in the other areas is certified.
Right, she has to have a special 5-day training even to be involved with this program. And because she's also now the gifted and talented teacher at the high school, it is going to be offered in that track, not only for gifted and talented kids, because we're working with Jonna on the funding piece. She's funding through those monies to see if that's legal to even expand it beyond that. And so right now, that was the recommendation, to keep it within gifted and talented, or if there was a high level of a teacher recommendation for kids who did not complete Advanced English 9.
So are we gonna?
Annette, I apologize, Annette, because it's hard to hear. The question I had about this is I didn't quite understand what this is doing. I mean, is this something that people get college credit for, like a lot of AP, or is this just something that prepares them better for college and taking other AP tests?
It's for preparation, and it's almost like an honors recognition. Even though, for example, within here, they refer to it as a diploma through here, it's a certificate of recognition. And when kids apply for a college, they now have this under one of the drop-down boxes to say, when you apply universally, were you an AP capstone student? So it's for rigor, for thinking, a lot of the 21st century skills, communication, and presentation skills, but then it's a recognition for kids for that high level of work.
And didn't she tell us how many schools do this? Do you remember? I didn't write that down,
It
but
said 2 in the
Central
state.
Academy does it.
yeah,
And,
Just 2 in the state is what I read in this thing.
yeah. But wasn't there, I mean, this is kind of a feather in your cap type thing she was talking about.
Right, right. And so currently the high school has a sprint course offering that's somewhat similar. There's not a high level of recognition from that, and they have a very low participation. And so from the middle school level, when students can participate in mock trial, in math counts, National History Day, this would be almost like a bridge from those other high-level extra opportunities for kids into the high school level to continue them on that path.
Would it replace this sprint thing?
No, they were going to keep both of those and then monitor those numbers as if the program can grow to see then how much can be handled. But the intent is to at least provide another opportunity within both and really work on communication with parents and students as they transition into the high school and determine what coursework they want to take.
And does this cost us any more for staff time?
No, the main cost is her professional development, which is a one-time training for 5 days in the summer. And then she would have to have some release time from her classroom, which would be a couple days of sub-cost in order for her to assess and grade or score the students' projects.
So it's not a class?
She would be teaching that course as a part of her time that she already has at the high school.
But you just said, should I be confused about this, or is it just me? I mean, you said that there'd be some sub-time involved while she,
She perhaps might have 2 days of a sub-cost release in December for when she would score the students'
well, not a week.
projects. But it's not adding like additional FTE for her. We don't have to add additional staffing.
Because she's a full-time teacher now.
Right.
So something she's not going to teach if she's teaching this.
Now, she could do it concurrently if she was also overseeing Sprint. But currently, very, very few kids get involved in the Sprint course at the high school. So we're trying to build awareness. We're trying to give an upper level opportunity for those students. And to also gain that recognition that is now starting to get recognized at the college level.
And is this just for gifted and talented students then?
Yes, at this point, it is.
Yes. But we also talked about if there's a student that's not gifted and talented and it comes from teachers that they highly recommend that student, they're not going to get overlooked. Say there's somebody not gifted and talented, but they need to be in this program after a teacher, a teacher recommendation or whatever, then that will be addressed, right? Is what I understood from her.
Right, because we also want to make sure that a student wasn't overlooked within the gifted and talented identification process along the way.
Because there's some leadership skills that, people might not be gifted and talented,
Yeah.
but they have really good leadership skills, and so it might be a great opportunity for them.
Last informational question. To get in, if they successfully completed AE9. I have no idea what an AE9 is.
Advanced English 9 class.
Thank you. Sounds like a wonderful idea.
So what we're really approving is just the money for her to go to the,
Really, just anytime we have a curriculum change, like a new course or a realignment of
right.
one of our departments or something, that's part of the process.
The money would come out of our teacher quality fund.
Teacher quality money, yeah. Yeah, okay, so we're,
I guess I was just confused. Maybe I just didn't hear correctly. I thought you guys were saying at the beginning that this would be good for any AP student. So then why would we limit it to just the GT students or on the recommendation? Maybe I just didn't hear correctly.
No, I think that question was asked, and Mrs. Duran shared that Brady Dar, who is our tag teacher, also happens to be English certified, can work this into her schedule. This is a starting point. That's where her certification is, and it makes a lot of sense there as well. She also has the ability to get that 5-day training through AP in the summer. But I think, potentially there could be other expansion of it. But as Mrs. Duran was saying, right now, there are several advanced opportunities in middle school, and those things kind of drop off as they get to high school. And this would be maybe a good bridge or a good starting point for that to see where it goes. I think I'm paraphrasing. Anything to add to that, Ms. Duran?
Just that the connection to AP is that by the time, if the following year we can add the research course, students have to have scored at a certain level within so many AP tests to eventually get that recognition. So there might be some AP students that want to go this route because it really is talking about presentation skills, teamwork, research. That might not be of an interest to every student, but some who do take AP courses, this is even another rigorous level for the amount that you take and the level that you score to get this recognition.
So we're just trying to bridge it from the middle school to the high school and get more people involved in that.
So I've got one more question. If I'm looking at this, it seems like we're asking for approval for the seminar, but to get the recognition, you need the seminar and the research and/or for AP exams.
Right, for the level of recognition. And so the plan was to get approval for seminar, for us to focus on that, get kids into that, look at their success level, and then build those plans to get approval for research the next year.
Okay.
I'll move approval.
I think, did we have a
I think we
motion?
already have-
Second?
we
I
have a
think
motion.
Donna already did it.
Donna and
I made the
Sue.
motion. Yeah.
Get
Let's
things
second
going
it.
again then.
Yeah.
All right, motion made by Donna, seconded by Sue.
Sue.
Those in favor, say aye.
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 Missing some-
It's delayed. Carolyn, I think.
Oh, there's one name.
I did it at the same time. I'm okay with it.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
But I did have a question. If somebody could just walk me through one of the pages of that math score, what I'm supposed to see there. Maybe the first page, I've got it and I've looked at it and I'm just a little bit
The
confused.
colorful one.
In the colorful one.
I should be able to understand, but I'm not quite getting what it's trying to tell me.
You want me to do that one?
Go ahead.
Okay.
You'll probably explain it better than I can.
So if you take a look at the very first page, in yellow where it says K-8 students.
Yep.
This is from the district's Fast Bridge Screener, which is a very upper level, high level look. It's like a temperature check on our kids, K-8, for their math skills. And it breaks it then out into 4 categories, from high risk to students being on a pathway to say you would be college ready or ready for post-secondary work. That's something we want to take a look at to make sure kids are on path all the way through their educational time with us. On that first page then, in the very dark pink, is the percent of students per building from the elementary to middle school that are at high risk of not being on that successful pathway. The light pink is they're at some risk. You'll then see a bold percentage mark, which is the combination of them being low risk and on the pathway. So for example, Emerson Elementary shows 67% of those kids that were screened are doing fine and they're on the pathway, very low risk to no risk on their way. And so what we're taking a look at is overall, as we disaggregate that data, which are the following pages, is there anything standing out at a systems level that might make us think we might need some more training in a certain area? We may need to take a look at how we're servicing kids through our at-risk program, et cetera. And so each building principal has a process that they use to go through and look at their literacy data. And this is the math data which they go through and to look at their building level. And then I'm presenting it to you kind of as a systems level picture of what came out from this fall.
Now, you've already taken this, right? You were doing it that next day, or you've shared this with all the administrators, or
We
the...
didn't meet, last week's meeting was not held with the administrative team. Those principals had their own results, and so it's on again for our next Thursday one with some of those patterns. And some of those that we were looking at was that for our females in have, they were somewhat trending, scoring lower than our males, which is something that we're going to look into at a greater depth for those. We also, oh, go ahead.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to 3A, Board Human Resources Committee report.
Well, we went over the COVID, a lot of the COVID stuff. A lot of COVID stuff. And more COVID stuff. I had to buzz out a little early, get the preschool kids there, but we covered a lot of that. And we did find the medical waiver thing. Rob? Rob?
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I was on mute. I had a really good discussion with myself just now.
I see we have
Good job, Rob.
Mr. Bresnan's name.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to look like it.
Yeah, we did have, and Kelly did a great job explaining, we've kind of talked about tonight where we were in looking for those people to help with the online learning, either as the online teachers or the advocates and all of that.
Yeah.
We spent a considerable amount of time on that. And
I have a question. This is Sue. Under D, it says grievance. Is that a new one?
No,
No.
Okay.
and that's been resolved.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's what I thought. That's why that's why I thought it was weird that it was on there.
It just says, I mean, it's not new, it just says current because at the point of that meeting, it had not been finally resolved and it has now, so it really wasn't new, but it was still current because it hadn't been officially closed.
So do we have,
Perfect, thank you.
so do we have quite a few that you're gonna start interviewing December 1st?
Yeah, I think we have about 8 or 9 applicants, and we've narrowed it down to 4 to interview, but we've had a good spread over all of the different grade levels.
Some of the retired teachers, have some of them reached out or?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
What we don't have, and we touched on it a little bit ago, is we don't have any special ed applicants. So there are no special ed teachers.
We didn't have anybody retire in special ed, did we? Or did we?
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yep.
And we sent actually because of miscommunication, 2 notes directly to recently retired folks and said, hey, consider these. So we let them know that they were eligible as well.
And December 1st is the cutoff, that's our cutoff date?
For applying, yep.
For applying.
Do you know how many special ed kids we have offhand?
Yeah.
You just did a report on that today.
Well, we'd have level 3, level 2, level 1.
Right, yeah, I mean, I know
It's
that, but
It's a pretty
but I mean-
significant number of remote learners who are identified with IEPs.
In kindergarten, there are 5. In first grade, there are 2. In second grade, there are 2. In third grade, there are 6. In fourth grade, there are 3. In fifth grade, there are 10. In sixth grade, there are 7. In seventh grade, there are 7. In eighth grade, there are 6. In ninth grade, there are 6. 10th has 6. 11th has 6. And 12th has 6. That's kind of hard to say. There's a total of 72, which is where I should have started.
So you want, well, the high school, middle school, their special education teachers already take care of that. So you're looking
Right,
at
yeah.
elementary, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And that's to do the remote learners, correct?
Yes,
Remote.
remote special ed.
So that special education teacher will be responsible for K through 5 special education?
Did we advertise for secondary special ed remote
We did.
teacher as well? I believe we did.
Yep, a virtual teacher for special ed for secondary to assist.
Because
the issue is those remote learners, they need to receive the same amount of specially designed instruction, the same minutes in their IEP that your on-site learners would. So that would become, particularly if we were returning full-time on-site and those students were getting 100% of their minutes in their IEP of specially designed instruction, those remote learners should be getting the same. So that becomes very difficult.
Right. I mean, I understand that, yeah.
When are the special ed teachers going to do it, you know? So it's the same kind of problem we have with, you know, a teacher teaching all day on site and then having to find a time to do, you know, remote instruction. Well, same kind of idea, but with the IEP and the requirements and the free and appropriate education requirements, that's really a big hurdle if we don't get applicants, so.
Well,
they-
I understand that. I just was curious how many there were and what that looked like. Thank you.
Would they have to come into the school to teach remote, or can they do it from?
We're asking that they be in the school. We'd house them out of Wilder is where we have the space, and they'd each have a room. And
They would have a room though.
Yep, and the technology. We thought that would be better because they could collaborate with each other on these, you know, remote position, or the virtual remote learner position. But then also have the support of the current teachers to help with.
I was just curious if one of them was worried about COVID but they would have the space, they wouldn't be with other people.
They'd be on their own.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dee.
Okay, moving on to finance, facilities, and support services. The first item will require actions, the 2021 summer and 2021-2022 school year childcare rates, which there was no change from this year.
The same. We are in the higher end of the rates in the metro area. Not that that really affects us in people that will come here, right? And we usually try to increase it every so many years. But with COVID, she's really seeing, I mean, number one, they're not making money. We know that. Number two, we've asked them to stay open with social distancing, which in a childcare setting, you can't make the money to even break even. So I said, for this year, let's do it. Let's keep it the same. Help our parents out. And there may be something down the road that the general fund may need to help out, that child care fund, just because they're doing things that they've never done before. So.
Hey, Jonna.
Yeah.
So I understand that we've done this historically and stuff, but is next year, does it look like we'd be taking above average rate increase next year? Sometimes sometimes you want to soften that blow, you know, if you knew down the road that, hey, this is going to jump way up next year because of things that have changed and stuff. So I didn't know, have we done any research to see where this may head next year at all?
Well, it's very difficult to do right now because we are so low attendance right now. We've got, typically they have about 200, over 200, and now they have less than 100, I think, coming. And there are 4 different areas. So we usually do look at that and try to increase it incrementally. If we can get back to a normal year, and that, you know, for this year, I think we look at it this way. Next year, if this becomes our new normal, the way we're dealing with things right now, I think there's going to be more discussion than just the rates. I think we'll have to figure something else out.
And that's where I was going to ask next, was just like, if we would go into something like this again, is there any type of clause that we can write into these policies to make sure that we're not coming out backward, I guess, on this or behind?
Yeah. I mean, to the point that if you looked at, before COVID, we were almost breaking even. And that's really all we could ask for that. There was a little bit of a deficit, but very small compared to past years. And then when COVID hit, everything is so
John,
weird.
is, like DHS has offered us grants and all that kind of stuff. Are they doing that for you? Because I just know they've asked us not to raise our rates as home registered daycare providers. They've asked us to freeze where we're at and not charge extra for school getting out early or whatever. But they've also have come back and offered grants. Is that available to the schools too? Because
We've got.
it's a registered daycare.
It is, and it's 4 different, and they're identified as 4 different sites. So she can get $2,000 per site. I think it was, I think she's got it at least twice. So-
Right, and I think
so that
there's another
helps.
one that I just got an email today. It's supposed to be coming out the 1st of December with more grants. So
Good.
if we can keep applying for those, I mean, I don't do them, but I mean, if the school does that, I mean, at least if we could get those grants, that's gonna help us a little. I mean, maybe not a
And
lot, but it's gonna help us, you know.
She always looks for those and always, is, and what's unique also is, if you recall, and maybe you don't, I do, that we were the only metro childcare open during the COVID time. And remember, that was a discussion that we had, that do we open or do we not? And they did, and they were, but they were so low, and then we had to keep paying our people, so that didn't help.
Yeah.
And now, I've not polled the whole metro area. I talked with the Johnston business manager, and they closed. They don't even offer it for their students or for their kids, so. So that's a
It's hard when
hardship
you
as
got
well.
essential workers that need that after school.
So I don't think I answered your question, Rob, but I don't know if I can answer your question.
No, it's okay. I guess I'm just trying to think ahead here and stuff, like.
Right.
So Rob, are you saying just if there's gonna be a $10 increase next year, maybe do 5 this year and 5 next year? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, I know people do that, organizations will do that from time to time just to soften it for families so they can work it into their budget instead of taking such a large one and, every few years or something. Sometimes it's easier to take a gradual one every year type of thing. So, yeah, but that's okay. That's all right. Whatever we just was thinking about that.
Yeah. A lot of times we do that in these odd times. She's gotten requests from parents, please don't raise our rates, please don't raise our rates. So we're trying to help if we can. So again, we do watch that and we do look at that, but this is I think we have to put an asterisk besides these 2 years because they're just so out of any normal range that we deal with.
Are you kind of planning that budget then, that we may have to take some money from here to help her?
I mean, in the long run, for the general fund, it isn't a big dollar amount for them when you look at their overall budget. For her, it is, because her budget is around $1 million total for the year. And it's been less because, then she reduces her staff because she has a lot of on-call staff. So,
Right.
And she reacts to the numbers that are coming.
And if there were another round of COVID money too, we can make a
We'll try to
decision,
push some there as
on
well.
that first 248,000.
We give them like
allocated
60,000.
75,000 to food service and childcare combined, something like that.
So that helps out.
So
So
we gave
that's a
food-
decision we make, if we do get more money that way, that would be a
Hopefully there's
priority.
another round of,
Yeah.
I'll move approval of the 2021 summer and 2021-22 school year childcare rates.
I'll second it.
All right, motion made by Ken, seconded by Donna. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Sue, you're so cute.
On to the next, 6.3 million school infrastructure sales, service use tax revenue refunding bonds.
I think is this the last set of actions on this?
I believe
refunding,
so.
John?
This closes we might have one more in December, I can't recall, but I think that this pretty much does it, though. We approve the resolution of the sale, we approve the tax exemption certificate, and authorize the payment, so.
separate.
3 separate motions, yep.
I will go ahead and do that, as I usually do, if it's okay with everybody.
Let's go.
I move the resolution appointing paying agent, bond registrar, and transfer agent, approving the paying agent, bond registrar, and transfer agent agreement, and authorizing the execution of same.
Motion made by Ken, seconded by Lori. All those in favor say aye.
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 We have two at the same. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
I move approval of the tax exemption certificate.
Second.
Motion by Ken, seconded by Donna. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
I move the resolution authorizing the terms of issuance and providing for and securing the payment of school infrastructure sales, services, and use tax revenue refunding bonds.
Second.
Motion made by Ken, seconded by Lori. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right, on to the next, the appointment of audit committee.
We had Grant Johnson moved away, so he's not eligible anymore. Gina Piper has graciously accepted to be part of the membership, and Carolyn has continued, will continue to volunteer as a board rep for our audit committee. So hopefully we'll receive our draft soon. We've had the field audit pieces done, so maybe we'll put them to work pretty soon.
That's not an action.
I'll make a motion to
Yes.
approve
Yes.
these people on the committee.
Second it.
Motion made by Rob, seconded by Donna. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. On to the.
It is delayed when you're on there, trust me.
The Board Finance Committee meeting report.
Wants to speak to that?
I'm not on that, I don't
You're
know.
not in? Yeah, you
Like,
are.
it's gonna be somebody on the phone there.
Hell, I don't know.
Bob, Sue,
Robert,
Carolyn?
Okay, I'll jump in, it's Carolyn. The first thing we talked about was the audit that we just approved the committee. Jonna shared some of the findings. We've changed companies, and so it is kind of different with their approach, but they represent a lot of districts. They're definitely a lot quicker than our other auditors. But they kind of dinged us a little bit with nothing major, but one of the policy series hadn't been renewed within the last 5 years, and as you know, we're constantly reviewing it, so that's something that, we'll get it taken care of. The negative school lunch balances we talked about before, they don't have a solution, it's just something they're required to have a finding on if it's negative. I don't remember exactly what those enrollment things were. Jonna, do you want to explain that again?
There was, so we missed a student, so to our good, we missed a student in the certified enrollments. Both of those are certified enrollment pieces that they have to show in the findings.
Where are we at on the food service balance now?
We're still, well, we should be holding our own right now. High school still can do à la carte, so there could be some negative balances. We still have a little bit of funding from the young professionals that would help offset some of that, but it's not getting any better right now. Because even though we say, you should go and start paying back that's not what usually happens. So we're not.
And Jonna and Carolyn, didn't they say like the only way to remedy that negative school lunch balance would be to get donations?
Donations or a fundraiser. So we have a really gung-ho food service director now, and she thought, I think I'm going to resurrect the ice cream machine and sell ice cream at basketball games. Well, that went away quickly.
Ice cream, I don't want to come on anti-ice cream.
When I went to high school here, we did have an ice cream machine, because I had an ice cream sandwich every day for lunch.
Yeah, when you only get 2 people per kid,
Yeah, it's
They
not,
used to have
yeah.
no, didn't they?
Do you have- Is there an?
We used
is there-
to.
Is there any type of a concession stand at all?
Yeah, we're
There
still
is.
running, but it's no volunteers, it's just the board. I mean, it's just, us 4 managers that run it.
So right now, that's how they're suggesting, and we just keep, and she's got some good ideas, so something else might
If we
come
got
up.
a COVID, then
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, that's
yeah,
a good
we could-
idea. I mean,
It is,
that's
I mean, we gotta try something.
Well, I guess there would be no time like right now to do it while all lunches are free and breakfasts are free.
Yeah, right. But we can't, yeah, and that's, so it should be cutting off the losses to get any worse. One thing that I had a meeting today, which was, this is a sidebar from this, but one of the things that we've not, we offer our free meals to everybody K-12. We thought K-12. Abby, our director, said we can offer this to preschoolers. So we're starting to do preschoolers, hopefully this week yet. So they can.
What are you doing for that?
So they can get lunches and breakfasts because they're enrolled in our programming, even though they usually wouldn't have a meal with us. They do qualify for that with these free meals that we have. So that will help us as well. I mean, that'll help. The food service the reimbursement rate is very, very good compared to what it used to be for every meal that we have, so.
We should clarify though, John, that'll help the food service account, but that
doesn't
surplus
help-
can't be used to pay off the negative.
Because
Right.
it's Lori Abernathy's fees, it's Donna Kramer's fees, it's not the whole food service as a whole. We still have to hold those separately as accounts that are in deficit. So yeah.
Well, maybe we'll come up with a creative idea.
Yeah.
My mind, honestly, you guys, was just blown, like in that meeting, that committee meeting, because I did not realize that all students everywhere are able to eat free this year. I never.
That's for the
connected
whole
dots there.
school year, right? Am I correct? I read that right? It is.
Yeah,
It's
originally it
extended,
was,
it's extended through the school year,
yep.
till May.
It is, yeah.
I think that's great.
It is, and
be
then
honest.
you can do a school feeding program at the end, in the summertime as well, which will help. That usually cash flows quite well as well, so.
Good.
and you put Pepperell and Save budgets in, but I don't think we really had changes, did we?
One discussion we had was the band.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody wants to talk about that. Carolyn?
Oh, I was just going to say, the last thing on the audit, John, it was something where there was a small balance, and it was the timing, that it didn't get transferred, and you'd asked about it, so
Right.
that last item was minor, but kind of a little annoying because you thought it was going to get moved in time.
Right, so usually at the end of an audit, there's adjustments that are made, and we've done all these bond refundings, so we had something in an escrow account, and it was a larger amount in the escrow account that should have been cleared out. And when we changed auditors, one didn't finish, but the other ones came in and said, okay, we need to clean this up. So that has to be marked on there, so it's cleaned up now, going forward, it won't be an issue, but they have to mark that, they have to note that. So, but it was in an escrow account for the district that was booked at that way.
Yeah, then going on, it's like, as you know, we've got a meeting in a week with the architectural presentations. Those are noted there. And then the last item was just talking about the Pepperell, or wasn't the last time, I guess. The third item was the Pepperell and Save funds. John had pointed out, which I didn't realize, that we had an anonymous benefactor for the middle school that gave $20,000 a year for the middle school music equipment.
Elementary.
And when the teacher retired, that money went away. And the thought was as if we could earmark maybe $20,000 to be shared within the music program, not just the middle school, that might be something that we should try to do.
It's fifth grade or
It's
it's the middle?
fifth grade,
No, it's fifth
actually,
grade.
correction, it was a fifth grade band, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And so, yeah, and other districts I've been at, they've done that where it has to be shared between all music. So it's not just band, it's not just orchestra, it's not just vocal. Because vocal has the risers, they've purchased just recently, they've purchased some of those. that we could easily dovetail, put in 20,000 earmarked for music, that they would have to, if they don't need it, they don't need it. But some of the larger instruments are the ones that they seem to need more, and they're very expensive, so a student probably wouldn't purchase those. So a tuba, timpani, big things like that, that's what we'd like to, if we put that in within the PEPAL budget, or it'd probably be the PEPAL budget, we could have that, and then it's just always tracked, and we can see what they're using, and there might be years that they use it all, and there might be years that they don't use very much. But not knowing, I don't know that for sure, so.
And then the last item had to do with our breakdown insurance that's new to us. And we're just asking for more metrics. This is something that we're watching to make sure that it makes sense fiscally to keep doing that, and even including the time spent monitoring it to try to figure out the cost-benefit analysis. Just watching it, it seems like it will pay for itself, but we also kind of want to watch it because it's new to us. So we were just asking for some additional data to look at.
Yes, and I reached out to the person that sent me this is the claims per date, to date. And she said, you guys are running, we don't usually see the activity that you have this early on, but we had a good process set up. I mean, between our technology department and our facilities department, we have a work order system that easily tags out. They know then what goes, and so they're watching us carefully because we are using it very well, is what the gal told me. And I said, well, good, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Jonna, just going back to number 3 there, and Carolyn, was that anonymous, the benefactor there, was that person, was it just going towards band, or was it going towards band, orchestra, and chorus in 5th grade?
it was just going to band.
Just to band, okay, so
It was like it was just to that one teacher.
okay, so the hardship might come in the band area if we open it up to other areas, if they're used to getting that much.
Possibly. Again, you don't want to completely identify band and not address your other ones, because orchestra could be the same.
No, I agree, I just was thinking there may be some gaps there.
There may be, yeah.
But
in
the
upper
band
levels.
department now too will kind of more equitably share,
Okay.
because in the past that was going solely to 5th grade band, and our middle school and high school weren't seeing a benefit from that.
Were they using it all every year, the whole 20,000?
Not completely, but close, depending on.
Thanks, Carolyn.
All right, moving on to the facilities projects update.
Quiet right now.
The auditorium is completed now, that whole structural issue.
Now that they've got the play over, we've got.
I know, now you gotta-
go. Yeah.
That's too bad, yeah.
It is.
Well, you know what though, from a COVID standpoint, it was probably better to be able to
Yeah.
spread out in the gym like
Yeah.
that anyway. I know that's not your typical drama place, but it was pretty safe.
It was
so.
good though.
And it was very good, yeah.
All right. Moving on to board policies.
This is all second reading. We went over them all last meeting. Ben, if anything come to your mind, nothing came to my mind that we need to change, Art?
No, I don't have any suggestions.
I will then move approval of the policies mentioned.
Second.
Motion made by Ken, seconded by Donna. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 7-0. Onto the board calendar and upcoming agendas.
We canceled the tech meeting tomorrow, right? Or Wednesday?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, sorry. What is today? Today's the,
Yeah, it's canceled.
And our presentations from the architect are here in this room.
Yes.
Correct, yep.
and that's still at
November
5:30, right?
30th, 5:30,
5:30.
yep. November 30th, 5:30.
As far as facilities go, John, with everything kind of quiet right now, do you want to play that by ear? I mean,
Well,
do
we
you think
might,
there's a-
yeah, on the Thursday, we might, well, there might be a special meeting, depending on if we have people to hire.
Okay.
But
Well, let's
also,
leave that on there,
Okay.
because we had talked about too, Ben, there could be
Some
more
discussion.
facilities committee conversation after the architect's presentations. So actually, if that becomes a special board meeting too, then that could be a, whoever can get their conversation. But yeah, we do have some, we talked about the remote instructors, for example. If we get those interviewed December 1st, potentially they could be ready to approve, so we can start getting them trained. So we may make that facilities committee meeting a special board meeting for whoever can make it.
Okay.
So on Monday, we'll be able to ask questions after they present to us? or-
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll post that. Since we'll have the whole board here, even though there's not action, we'll post it. And each of the groups that we talked with, we said, yeah, we know there'll be a presentation element, but we'll definitely have questions, want some give and take. So, yeah.
so our goal is an hour each or less than an hour,
Scheduled
just to
hour
get them
each.
shipped.
It'd be great if there's a little buffer in between, but we can see where it's going.
3 of them?
Yeah.
All right, any other questions on the upcoming calendar? Move on to the next board agenda. Any questions or discussion on that?
Well, I've never seen Carolyn, Rob, or Sue look so good.
Yeah, no. Before you adjourn, I want to say something.
Yeah,
I
I got
just-
another.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Art and Ray and whoever else of the admin staff covered for the teachers so that they could attend Maddie's funeral service last week. I really appreciate the administration, and I don't know who else did it besides you and Ray, so I'm not leaving anyone out. You're just the one two that
I know there was quite a few, and they did a very good job. I mean, I sat in the back, us daycare providers sit in the back, but it was very spread out. It was very nice. Even the visitation was done it was very nice.
Well, there's as I mentioned earlier too, Don, on a daily basis, teachers covering for each other and principals in classrooms and, that was one particular event, but we have so many people stepping up and helping out on a daily basis.
I just
so-
appreciate everyone
Yeah.
doing that, so thank you all.
I have one other. We're seeing quite a few families be put homeless. I've reached out to Mimi on a couple of them, and Officer Hackett and I have been involved on 2 or 3 of them. Just families that are not working right now, that they're in either restaurant business, they're in whatever. So I just think, really be diligent in kind of seeing that. The officers have been, and I'm probably gonna say the name, Brian Scher, has been very good. Officer Hackett has contacted us. So it's been a good partnership, and then I've reached out to Mimi and just kind of just making sure everybody's aware. But the 3 that we've had this week. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Are you guys getting Amber Tompkins with Rolling Hills Coalition
Yep.
involved? Because a huge grant just came through.
Yep, and that is,
Is effective
Yeah.
December 1st, that can help people.
yeah, we've already got 3 placed, and the 3 that we had this weekend are now as of tonight, the last one went into a permanent apartment. So right now, we have everybody placed. We still have a mom with 3 kids we're working with. But they've got shelter and they're doing fine. So that one just came up last night. So, but just be aware. I mean, I am shocked I knew we were gonna have some, but I'm shocked that these people had jobs and were working and I know, Sue, you're probably seeing a lot at the food bank right now, or Helping Hand, I'm sorry. But I don't know, I just hope all of our teachers and everybody we can I think it's gonna get worse, to be honest. So,
We're coming up with the end of some of the federal eviction stoppages,
yeah.
and it's just a mess.
But if you look at the trends of those evictions and the forgiveness stuff, there's actually clauses in each of those things that
Yeah.
if you present the right way, there is a lot more relief available.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure that people know who to ask and how to contact. Because, yeah, we're seeing a huge increase. I mean, I'm up 357% in services on both the homeless, the eviction, mental health calls, and on food. So, but there are things, I sat in a huge conference on Friday that are available to a lot of our families too that can work with some of that. They just, a lot of times, people don't read the fine print and stuff.
Yeah, you're right, Sue.
Therefore,
But thank you, Mimi. I appreciate you and Sarah's help, and Officer Hackett have been great, so, thank you.
I move to adjourn.
Second it.
All right, motion made by Ken, seconded by Lori. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good job, Mr. President.
Sue must be on a delay over there.
Good job,
I can't remember the movie. Did
Thanks, kid.
Shooter win the basketball game?